Howdy, welcome back to the shop. Today I think I'm going to do a little show and tell video on some modifications I did to my Chinese grinder to where I can grind carbide. I don't know if I would say safely, but to where I'm less likely to die of pancreatic cancer or lung contusions or leakage or something 20 years down the road because I breathed in carbide dust. I have it on pretty good authority that you're not supposed to breathe carbide dust. So the first thing I'm going to introduce you to is a induced draft blower. I think this one came off of a ream furnace. This one here, I'm pretty sure came off of a train. Maybe it came off of a Heil. I don't know. I'm the heating and air guy, so I got a lot of this junk laying around. Now, these are pretty easy to come by. Just call your heating and air guy and say, hey, next time you scrap out a couple of furnaces, save me back the inducers off of them. And I'm sure he would be happy to do that, especially if you've bought a system from them in the past or, you use them regularly. Everybody should have a heating and air guy. Now, one word about these, they're not all exactly the same. In fact, there's probably no two of them the same. The train ones have got a impeller in them that looks more like the impeller inside of a shop vac. The ream ones have got basically just a squirrel cage blower. I think, to me, the train ones pull a better vacuum. That's just my guessing at it. I have never really tested it. But on that, you do have innies and outies. This is a 2-inch Street 45. So that is a 2-inch, the size of a 2-inch PVC male. And this is the size of a 2-inch PVC female. So just be aware of that. Now, I'm going to use this to suck the dust out. So I've made up this little mount. You see, it just is. I was kicking around and found some of this tubing. This was part of a framework. And this hose is sump pump hose. I had a piece of this. It got ran over with the lawnmower. I don't know who did that or how exactly it happened. I just know that this got ran over. And my long piece of sump pump hose became a short couple of pieces of sump pump hose. But it fits up in there really good. I couldn't do any better. So I also used another piece of this for my shop vac. And on shop vacs, now you can do the same thing with a shop vac. The reason I don't like doing that is that filter is probably not going to catch the fine particles of carbide. I mean, this stuff is microscopic fine. Why take a chance? If you're going to use a shop vac, dedicate a shop vac and set it outside of the building and plumb it in permanent or some way that it's dedicated and it's blowing the exhaust air outside. Don't breathe this crap. So, pretty standard stuff. I've got this on a pigtail. I'm going to mount the switch on the wall, mount this on the wall, turn that and blow it out of the wall, out of the building, out actually into the alley. I don't want to blow it on the garden. I don't want to blow it anywhere else. The alley is just fine. It's going to, whatever settles out, it's going to land right in the trash cans behind the shop. So it'll be fine. So here's the original guard off my Chinese grinder. Real thin stuff. I mean, like ultra thin. I took and made my new back plate out of 1/4-inch plate, and the way I copied it is I just laid that down on top of the back plate and then took a can of lacquer colored lacquer and just squirted straight down and used that to mark it. Works pretty good. You know, it's not exact, but it was close enough to give me this detail here lined out and the details for this. I did screw up when I drilled the hole. I drilled it out of whack, so I ended up having to flame torch the center hole. My studs here, just 1/4-inch studs, Loctited in. This one does not go all the way through, and because it would hit the tool rest. This stud here doesn't matter, and this stud here there's a little deflector, and I'll show you that in a minute, that goes right here. The stock cover fits right over this. I did drill the holes out from Mickey Mouse size to a clearance hole for a 1/4-inch stud. It fits good unless I'm trying to show it off on the camera. There we go. So, boy, I must have dropped that or something. Anyway, it fits on there good enough, you know. I think this is about 40 thousandths thick metal here. A piece of a 410A can that I just cut up to scrap the metal out of because I'm too cheap to go to the steel yard. That's about all I got to say about that. I can't think of nothing else. Okay, so there's this mounted up on the wall there. Now the reason there's a piece of tin in that window is, like I said, this faces the alley, and the neighbor that lives across the alley has got, I don't know what his deal is, but he wants to mow his yard in the dark. And right after we first bought this place, he commenced mowing the yard and broke out like 4 windows. Well, there's 3 windows here. He broke out 4 of the glasses out of a total of 6 in one summer. So I got tired of fixing windows, so I just ended up covered them up with tin, and have since used a couple of the sashes in other places to replace rotted sashes. So that's the story behind that. So here's my little grinder station. I think you've probably seen this before. If not, I'm going to do a wide angle here in a minute anyway. This is a 6-inch 1/2 horsepower. That's Chinese horses. Chinese horses are shorter than ours. 6-inch 1/2 horsepower, 3550 RPM. Typical feed store, probably get the same thing at Harbor Freight, just about anywhere. It's what you get unless you want to go buy a real grinder. This is what you get. So I'm going to mount my plate up here, or mount my backer up here, and these are Mickey Mouse size, I think 5 Mickey Mouses. I'm going to use a little blue Loctite on it, get all this mounted up, get it all put together, and then we'll come back. Okay, I had to make some, I don't know what you'd call these, hubs. Because my wheel that I bought from wherever I got it from has got a 1.25-inch bore in it, in here. Probably, I don't know, maybe that's 32 millimeters. I don't know. Whatever it is, it's right at 1.25 inches. So I made me some flanges. That's what we need to call it. I made me some flanges to go on there, and that is a really good fit on the shaft and a really pretty good fit on the center in here. I don't want this thing to have many chances. I don't want to have any chance to wiggle. So I can't make it wiggle. That's a Polish thread. So here's my rest that I made. It started off as a piece of 3x6 Yeah, I think so. 3x6 angle iron, 5/16 web. And I went 2 inches over and cut it off, and then took that piece and flopped it back around and welded it back on. Uh, I did pre-bend it. I put about a piece of 26 gauge, no, piece of 40 thousandths thick metal over here when I clamped all this together so that it was preloaded that way. So when I made this weld, it pulled back flat. And it's not dead flat, but it's pretty flat. But that gives me a nice surface over here to where this clamps up flat against the other side of this guard here. This is what holds it. And I had to flip around and reach in there and mill that out so that the washer and nut has got a flat surface to bear again. Yeah, this little diamond wheel, it came off of Fleabay or something. It was not an expensive diamond wheel. I don't care. I'm not a professional at this stuff. So if it lasts, unless I do something stupid with it, which is the most likely scenario, is I will do something very stupid and destroy this wheel. But anyway, to set the angle, this is kind of how I do it. It's probably not right, but this is about a 3/4 inch, takes about a 3/4 inch wrench. I lay me a straight edge on my tool rest, and if that is on there like that, that is about enough angle for my finish grind. Now my back grind, I put just a little bit more angle on it, maybe something like that. And I've kind of just over feel, I know about where that is on stuff. Now, if I use my belt sander, I just kind of guess at the angle when I'm setting the belt sander up. But this is how I get the angle for my tool grinding, just like that. A little old deflector. It just goes up against the bottom of the tool rest. Another little old deflector up here on the top. So there we go. We've got the grinder put back together. And now this is pretty much where my grinder usually lives, is over in this corner of the shop. And we'll pan around, and there's the window where the vacuum unit is going to live. So that's kind of, I don't know, it's 6 feet away. It would be better if it was closer, but I don't want to blow out through that window there. My garden is out that way, and I don't want this crap in my garden. I don't think it would ever make a difference about anything, but I just don't want this crap in my garden. So we'll give her the old smoke test next. Here's another nice thing about using one of these inducers. I'm going to go turn this inducer on. I don't even know if you can hear that over the radio or over the TV. But here's how I was taught to check draft on furnaces and stuff, the old B-vent furnaces. Light a piece of paper and watch the smoke and the ashes. And you can see that that's sucking the ashes and the smoke right down the gullet. And we'll turn her on here. I think we have a winner.